Okay, we go. Hello,
Um,
everybody. Oh wait,
Hi,
Susie's not here.
Susie.
She's not actually here.
What? You can't just like fucking
No,
lie
I
like
know.
that.
That's why I'm trying to switch it, but I apparently have to fucking log into the shit again. Bye, Susie, for now. Okay.
Bye,
Hello,
Susie.
everybody. Oh God. It's been 2 weeks. Yeah, Battalk, and that's partially my bad because I slept through one of them and then I was busy for the second. um, but that's fine. Everything's fine. Uh, okay.
Uh,
Frequency.
Hello.
Hi, you have the topic for today.
I do.
That doesn't inspire confidence.
uh, Actually, I forgot.
No, you didn't.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Don't
So,
don't lie to me.
what I elected to try and talk a little bit about today was in regards to Nimbat Colony Cuisine, and
Oh no.
not here's so I actually kind of like made a small list of just like little different subtopics about it
Mhm.
because something that I kind of like to acknowledge is just how exactly the cuisine is developed
Right.
because um with the actual setting of where the colony is, like this is a temperate forest climate, or just
Mhm.
like generally speaking, it's just in a fucking temperate forest. So probably just some of the like the first diets to
Yeah.
crop up were usually just kind of whatever they could fucking find. So you'd have your things like you'd have fruits, you'd have nuts, you'd have the occasional veggies. And this was just kind of something where I don't know, like do you really think like the first couple years of the colony might have been something like hunter gatherer but not quite hunter, more like gatherer kind of thing?
I don't know because
You don't
well, actually, I'm gonna say no because
you don't
Nimbats
think
have plant growing magic.
true.
They can
So
grow plants.
they were probably getting right into,
Culture.
fucking agriculture
Yeah.
relatively early. I could
The
absolutely see.
thing that wouldn't have come along immediately is animal husbandry. That would have
Yeah.
had to be something that they developed probably actually after visitants, I would say, because
Mhm.
a Nimbat's not going to try to wrangle something that's larger than it really. And I mean,
Yeah,
by that I mean they aren't going to be wrangling cows on their own. Humans do
no,
that because fucking
humans do
cow, who
that.
cares? But I don't think a Nimbat's going to do that specifically because they're fucking big.
Yes, they
I would
are.
argue that even chickens are a bit much for them sometimes.
Mhm.
Um, in terms of being able to control. There are definitely security sect bats that are specifically like cowboys. They're specifically for animal wrangling. And now that I have spoken that out into the world, I think we need that. So I'll make a note of that and uh, send it to Ren because Nimbat
Nimbat
Cowboy I think
Reviews.
is great. But
Yes, Nimbat Cowboy.
so I don't think animal husbandry would have been a thing, but I do think that one they would be growing plants and scavenging for insects because
Sure.
insectivore, despite the fact that me personally I don't really like it, I think Nimbats are insectivores for sure because one, they're bats. Two, um, I mean, we've talked about that and we've done art on that already actually. Um,
Guys in your fucking sandwich.
it's the Snandwich, yeah. I'm mad
No.
about the Snandwich, but it's
Yeah, me
fine.
too.
Well,
No, it's not.
well,
No.
it's fine in the sense of do they eat snails? Yes. Do they eat big snails? Yes. Does that snail in that sandwich make me sad? Also, yes. But that doesn't change the fact that, like, you know, they definitely eat bugs. Whether or not they like cultivate bugs, I would think they would. At least like, that might have been like their early animal husbandry. I don't know how you breed snails. Don't really want to
I
think
don't know.
about it. um,
Um, but there
but I
was a
think
little
they would have
more,
done it.
yeah. Like I think where things might start to get slowly interesting is just what sort of experimentation they might have done with agriculture later on. Because I
With bees.
imagine just kind of starting out, it's like you really only start to grow things that you know would grow in the area. And then it's
Yeah.
like, okay, well, maybe you'd have one, maybe two outsider Nimbats that hadn't really originated from the colony, and they're like, hey,
Yeah.
have you ever heard of a fucking watermelon?
Have you heard
Like,
of wheat? No. So, like, that's so to answer you, Evan, yes, they would absolutely keep bees.
yeah,
Um,
keep you.
I think, don't quote me on this. This is literally coming out of my ass. Um, I think they would. I think like real life bats fuck with bees and like eat the honey, but I don't know. I need to do some research on that. I don't know. But no, I think they would absolutely. I mean, they absolutely keep bees. Um, I don't know if they necessarily would um really have like beekeepers as we do, but I think that like they are aware of bees and let bees do their thing and take extra honey. I think because like
Yeah.
we can think about um Nimbat agriculture in general in I think like three phases. We have like the early stuff for the colony, then we have like by early I mean like proto colony, like before elders, before all of that. Then we have before visitants, and then we have after visitants. And I think after
Mhm.
visitants is when like animal husbandry, how we know it, really takes off, and how and like food diversity really changes because visitants are notably a bit more picky about food. Picky, I think, is a strong word for it. I think it's more of like,
I don't think necessarily picky, more
yeah,
like, hey, do you have more variety? Or just
yeah,
like more, yeah.
and like they have their preferences when like Nimbats normally they'll just eat whatever. Um, Not that they'd eat whatever, but it's just like whatever, you know.
Yeah.
But like pre-visitants, I think it was like mostly, if not entirely, like fruit and insect based. Um,
Now,
Probably mostly
I
fruit.
I do wanna touch a little bit more on how visitants might have affected, local cuisine,
Sure.
later on,
Yeah.
but since we're still kind of on it, I will ask briefly, um, do you think the introduction to visitants might have brought along spices? Do you think they had spices before
I think they
visitants
had
came?
spices before.
Okay.
Like I would not be surprised if cinnamon in particular is a really prolific spice because it just literally
Oh, yeah, I've
grows on
been
trees.
to
Like it
it.
literally
Yeah,
just is a tree. Um, so like admittedly I am not like an 18th century British man, so I don't really know the ins and outs of how spices are.
oh, don't
but
worry about it.
like so like I don't know where like for example like pepper, I don't know how that grows,
Sure.
like I have no idea. Um Not to say that, oh hello Barkfire, imagine not hopping in the call. I have a
Bark, bark,
mic
bark,
ready
bark,
for
bark,
you. Hold
bark,
on.
bark, bark.
Look, see? It's there. It's waiting for
Put
you.
put your cat back up to the mic.
Yeah, pull your cap on mic. um
That's not
so
your cat.
so basically like I don't know how spices grow. I don't think they would be getting what is it? What is like saffron? Like they wouldn't have saffron or whatever, but they'd have like um cinnamon for sure. They'd probably like want like sweet things over bitter or sour.
Hmm.
So like lemons, lemon isn't a spice. Can you guys tell that I'm white? I can't.
This
uh,
is
well, like so that's also the thing. Like I don't know generally like because this is I've said it before. I know on Battalk, but like designing a cuisine and a culture and like a language and a writing system and like ideals for a colony that one doesn't exist in real life and two it is like out of the realm of things that are like what we know, right? Like they are disconnected from us.
hmm
They exist in our world but they aren't connected to us. It is so weirdly difficult. uh like and it's something that I know you and I have talked about at length of just like, well, why do Nimbets do this? And it's just like, well, or like why a big one that I think about all the time is why is it matriarchal, right? Like,
Yeah.
admittedly, that was a me thing initially, and it has horny roots for reasons that we're not going to go over right now. But regardless, um, regardless, it is like for Nimbats, like it's hard to explain without it feeling like a cop out of just like why aren't Nimbats like looking to get monetary gain? And it's just like the answer to that is no more complicated than they just aren't because
Yeah.
like it's just how like the okay Evan, let's not talk about that, okay? um
Eyes emoji.
look, not in like a bad way but in like a
Yeah,
good
I'm
way.
looking.
um so basically like the explanation begins and ends with that's just how they are. Because like that would be asking like why do humans want money? Or like why are humans in I wouldn't say inherently greedy, but like
All right,
they tend
Finn,
to be
sweetheart,
greedy.
darling, we are getting heavily off
I
topic.
I know. So I'm just saying like it's hard and weird. So like to loop it all back,
Yes, so am I.
good, good. To loop it all back, um the question of like what kind of spices would they have would be like, okay, so like what kind of food do they actually make? What we can't really necessarily say that like it's based on uh Indian cuisine or I was about to say British cuisine, but that doesn't exist. Uh I'm coming after the Brits today, I guess. Um
The
or
Brits.
like French cuisine or whatever you want to call it, or like can you like I don't want to nail down like oh, okay so like they grow a lot of rice therefore they're like Asian based because that's just not really how it is. um and it just like leads to a lot of like okay so how do we actually like think about this, and so then we work backwards of like what would Nimbats like, therefore that's what they would grow. And to go to that question we then have to think about okay so like let's think about it. Nimbats are a fictional species, but we call them cat bats for a reason. So like you can see my teethers there. We are carnivorous. Uh but like okay, so like what kind of things do they eat? And are we thinking like literal things that like bats and cats eat? Because then one, insects from the bat side, two, fruit and other sweet things from the bat side. Like and like generally like meat and whatnot, but like specifically probably like fish and that sort of thing. So like fruit, bugs, fish,
Yeesh.
which is like weird to think about. Um, like would they have a kind of bread? And if so, ha, like they probably wouldn't have rice, but I also don't think they would have like wheat because like I don't think wheat grows in temperate forests. I had a big research document on this actually. Um,
Mm,
what you sound like you want to say something.
um, I'm looking.
Nimbat diet. There it is. Found it.
Wheat wheat can be grown in every temperate climate in the world.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we actually did write a lot of this. Um,
You can grow wheat in the woods.
yeah,
You can grow wheat in the woods. It's not
weird,
fucking ideal, but you can. It works.
weird. um, he gotta unfortunately gonna flashbang the audience, but um, oh sweet, that actually works. Um, browser, there we are. Hello, browser. So,
Yeah.
um, so this is our old document for like what we were planning on. Um, so like honey, rice, grapes, olives, um, insects, blanket designation for herbs and spices. Herbs was something that I didn't think about, but we'll have to think about. But also, this doesn't take into account like the ages of stuff. So like uh yeah. So essentially, goodbye browser. Okay. So essentially like huh?
I was fucking role playing the browser for a bit like goodbye.
Oh, okay. um so like how would how would Nimbats initially get, you know? Like because I had always envisioned that like well actually why am I even asking that? Because the answer is like they just develop it like every other fucking society on the world. Like duh. Okay, so we really
Pretty
don't even
much
have to think about that. But like
like wheat kind of like winds up almost anywhere, and it's always in big
yeah.
clumps. So they just kind of look at this thing like, "What the hell is that?" And then they just kind of like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah. Teosinti was the was an ancestor of it. But I guess like another question would be like, would here's something that actually we should think about and talk about:
Uh-huh.
wheat or rice.
Wheat.
I think well like what would they have developed? And I think it rice actually because rice originates from grass and if there's one thing that they probably actually didn't have a lot of it's grass because they lived in a forest like a lot of like ground covered by leaves and shit. Fuck. Okay, hold on.
Well, it's
um,
like here's
actually,
just my
no.
thing, right?
Rice.
Because
I'm gonna say it.
like okay, you can say rice, but
Uh,
at the same time,
rice.
when we have like current like contemporary colony stuff, there is a lot of we do look at fucking bread a lot. So
Yeah.
it's like there is like a big more central idea over wheat, at least these days.
Well,
So
yeah,
that come
but
to be.
well, yeah, but my thought is like rice flour and rice bread.
Sure.
Like ignoring like you either take the wheat route or the rice route when you're speedrunning Civilization, right? And I think it would make more sense if they developed rice and rice based things and then did all of that because like one I would think it's actually a little bit more manageable for them because it is smaller
Hmm.
um and also like you can get a lot of rice and nimbats are notably kind of small so a lot of rice goes a really long way I would argue. So
Yeah.
so
Plus, like
yeah,
rice keeps. Like if you want to get filled pretty quickly, you
yeah,
can go with rice.
yeah. So I think rice makes more sense. Um, Now, just like as like the primary grain, when it comes to
At least, like I will say, like
yeah,
at first, right? Because
yeah, yeah, yeah. Like
again,
Nimbat
it
colony
really.
cuisine is rice based. I would say like traditional cuisine is rice based.
But again, I had to argue otherwise because it's like we put a lot of emphasis on fucking bread these days.
No, I know, but like again, you can turn rice into rice flour, and then that can be made into bread.
So like is hmm,
They probably
I
made
mean,
a lot of
that makes
flatbreads. Like, I don't think they would have necessarily had too many leavening agents.
right, like the underlying thing
Eggs
here is
and yeast.
had.
Yeah, no, 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 no. I know. I'm still thinking like pre-Visitants here.
Yeah, yeah, okay.
Because
Okay.
post-Visitant, like, yeah, all this. I don't want to say all this shit goes out the window. I'm thinking like traditional. When you think of like, if you're going over to your partner's place and their family is making you like a traditional like cultural meal and whatnot. Like that's what I'm thinking of when we talk about like what they grow, all that.
Mhm.
If bread can pizza, well, do you subscribe to the Brian David Gilbert School of Pizza? Because if so, then yes, of course. Um, you need something cheesy, something saucy, something bread-like, and that's a pizza.
Hell, you don't even
Um,
need the sauce. Like, the first pizzas were made kind of over in the East, and it was literally just like this flat bread with some
yeah,
fish on it.
yeah. Uh, Evan, after stream, go look up Brian David Gilbert's Midnight Gourmand video, and it will change your life. Um, so, so when we're again thinking of traditional stuff, traditional in air quotes. Um, you got your rice, you got fruits, which will probably be like grapes and other vine based stuff, I would argue, which is really just grapes, I think.
Yeah.
Um, Maybe olives, but that is like a very specific point, and I don't think they would really have it. If we're thinking about like oils and whatnot, they would probably, I mean, fish oil is a thing. Uh, but,
Foil.
huh? Oh,
Foil.
okay.
Yeah.
um,
I love my portmanteaus.
Yeah. Um, I on the topic of fruits, I was developing dew melons, a dew melon, which is probably like a Nimbat colony specific thing that doesn't really exist in the real world, where it's a small watermelon um, that has a very thin rind, so you can just crunch into it. Crunch into it, you goosh out the insides, and you spit out the rind. They would grow in the upper trees, watered by like morning dew and whatnot. And I think that is a somewhat realistic thing that could potentially be uh, what's it called? Like done, you know?
Yeah.
Um,
Now, because there is still plenty on my little list of thingies here.
mhm,
So just kind of, um, so no longer talking about traditional stuff, no longer talking about
mhm.
how it all started. Like everything kind of just changed when visitants came into the picture,
Yes.
right? Like they had a very traditional idea of what they wanted to do for food and it worked. And but then it's like then visitants kind of came along. It's like, hey, have you ever heard of this shit?
Have
And
you
it's
ever
like, no,
heard of
what
eggs?
what is egg?
Yeah, I
And then
think they
they
would be
found out.
big egg eaters,
Oh yes.
like 100%. They probably actually scavenged for eggs before visitants, like from local bird populations. Um, and then visitants came along and were like, "Hey, you guys know that there's a bird that like is specifically like bred to do egg, right?" And they're like, "Oh fuck, egg! Time for egg."
Time
Um,
for egg.
yeah.
And then
So
egg happened.
and then egg happened, and I think sorry, and I think egg would continue to happen. And also, chickens are convenient in the sense of like they're not very big, and a nimbat could realistically handle a chicken. Um,
Yeah.
I don't like that's something like I don't think they would have anything much larger than a chicken. Maybe a goat, but that is kind of pushing it.
Up bits, up bits.
Um,
Well, so like again, kind of slowly transitioning into everything happening contemporarily. Let's talk more about the bread and
sure.
specifically just like how everything got into wheat-based cuisine. We're just making because now there is like a
Mm.
good handful of bakeries. I have a
Well,
character
yeah,
that
though
owns
also like sorry to interrupt.
Wah.
I don't know if they would transition to wheat. I think they would stay with rice, personally. Just because like we were talking about before, wheat is very big
Mhm.
compared to a nimbat. Um, and they've been doing rice forever, so they've probably been doing rice and have the stuff to make rice bread and all of that, and like the traditions and whatnot, all handled and done and ready to go. So like, I don't know if they would necessarily turn to wheat based stuff, but you know,
Yeah, no. Well,
um, yeah.
to an extent. It, like,
Mm,
it's, um I'm trying to think of like, some other things that kinda go on about it because so,
mm,
other ways in which, like, how residents, like, rapidly, like, changed everything because we got egg, you mentioned animal
egg.
husbandry,
Yep.
um, I don't really think meat would ever really go into the equation at all, outside
Well,
of, like, the occasional stingy type.
I so egg chicken is not meat chicken. They are two different kinds of chicken. While you still can eat
No,
egg
no, no, no.
chicken, no, hold on. Uh, well, I'm thinking like meats in general. Like, what kind of meats would they have access to? And I mean, the answer is fish. They have fish.
Mhm.
Um, and like, I mean, aquatic nimbats specifically really like fish. That's like their whole thing. Um, but like, I think like meat as like humans eat it wouldn't be a thing. Like there isn't like a meat processing industry in the colony at all.
No.
Um, I don't I don't know what they would do with chickens once they died. Gonna be real, because like
Oh,
generally
yeah.
speaking, you don't eat a thing that died on its own. Like
Probably strip the feathers for something, I don't know.
well, yeah, I mean they'd handle feathers and whatnot, but like the meat itself, I think would I don't know.
They just kinda
Um,
stare at it and go like,
well, what the fuck do we
I
do with this now?
don't know, trash.
um, because like uh,
This is
it,
the bit where you get into, like, a really fucked up, like, funny conspiracy theory where the Nimbat colony is providing certain farmer corporations with chickens
well, no,
because
because
they
like
just don't know what to do with them.
I don't want to bat splain this, and by
No,
that I
no.
mean mansplain it. How much about farming do you know? Like real life farming.
The only like, the only things I understand about farming really kinda comes from the lens of viticulture, so I understand different
Fuck is
farming
that?
techniques. Wine, my friend,
Oh,
making wine,
okay.
which means you have to
Okay, but
grow
not like
grape.
animal stuff. You don't know animal stuff.
No, no.
Okay. So TLDR, meat chickens, like the chickens that we eat, and egg chickens are two different kinds of chicken. Uh, specifically, like bred over years and years and years, to be either really good tasting or really good at making eggs. Um, and you don't eat an egg chicken and you don't make a meat chicken lay eggs. They're usually killed before they can start making eggs. Um, but the thing is, like, you still can eat egg chicken. It just doesn't taste as good. Now, the problem
Mhm.
is when you have an animal that has died, not that has been killed or slaughtered for its meat, but that has died, you don't eat it because you don't really know what killed it. And you don't want to ingest that into your body. So like even like nimbats, like you don't do that. scavengers like vultures and other like I don't want to say hyenas or scavengers necessarily, but like scavengers have evolved over time to like not really be affected as much by like parasites and whatnot, which is also fun fact why vultures are bald and like their necks are bald and everything. Just because they won't get like blood and other shit on themselves. Um, uh, so yeah, unfortunately.
Uh, yeah.
But so like I don't really know what they would do with a chicken once it died. They would probably be very sad. But also Nimbets don't have burial rights, so like I don't know what they would do. That's something that will is that true, Evan? Because I'm pretty sure they are scabs, but I don't know. But anyway, so like the the thing is, um that's okay. That's something that we'll think about another time because that's like kind of different to what we're handling. But like once a visitors came along, egg absolutely is something that they would have included in their stuff, which also means that they have a leavening agent, so their bread can become a little bit more diverse.
Yeah.
Um, uh, okay, I read you, Evan. Thank you. Um, so the thing with all of so we have egg now, which means that we have leavened bread now, which means things can go a little bit more crazy. Which also probably means cinnamon rolls are an actual thing in the Nimbat colony. They're just made
Yes.
with
What?
rice flour
Oh.
instead of like
Oh.
traditional wheat. And they're probably not like as leavened because I'm pretty sure normal cinnamon buns require like baking soda and whatnot, and they wouldn't really have that. Um, but Corin's cinnamon buns are absolutely a thing. um, you know,
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, so the so I mean that actually might be a interesting thing to try to make rice flour cinnamon buns. I wonder how that would taste. Maybe I'd try that. But anyway, so um yeah, the thing is though, like they would actually probably have access to like basic sugar cane as well.
Yeah. No, I believe that.
Yeah. So
Now, and then I will get into probably like the last like quarter of this conversation because I
yeah.
unfortunately do kind of have to like dip in about what is this 15 minutes.
Okay.
Um, so picking somebody up as usual.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
let's
yeah, of
get
course.
to the really funny bit.
Oh god.
Let's talk about how progression fucked everything up
Oh
again.
yeah. Yeah, so
So, because there's one thing where, you have visitants kind of come on by, and I would imagine, like, every now and then you might have one, maybe two visitants that just kind of complain that maybe one of their choice cuisines just isn't in the picture. They
mhm.
go like, "Oh, what the fuck, you guys? What do you mean you guys don't have like steaks or pizza or anything like
Oh yeah,
that?"
yeah.
It's like, whatever." But that really just kinda got thrown out the window because it was just like, well, it'd only be one person just kind of making these complaints, but
Mhm.
otherwise the other residents would be coming on by, and it's like, "Okay, yeah, like, have
We
you
can
ever heard
see.
of egg? Have you ever heard of"
Pause
"What?"
1 second.
I have pause.
Macau is stinky. All right, continue.
Yeah, cow is stinky. Uh, very
Fucking
important
get got
message.
frame one, asshole. Sorry.
Like, w he's like, "Wow!" Nah, don't worry. Fucking what was I gonna say? Yeah.
I don't know.
So, it gets to a point where like when you, like visitors kind of come on by and it's like they have like their suggestions like they teach animal husbandry, they teach egg, they teach a little bit more variety in terms of how can the nimbats cultivate like more varieties in food, at
Mhm.
least in terms of growing things on their own or developing things on their own. It's getting it a little bit more sophisticated,
Right.
but then progression happens later on down the line after a
Mhm.
lot of colony developments. And, obviously, one of the natural consequences of that is that they're going to quickly discover what different societies beyond like to eat and how they make it. And I mean, we gotta, like, let's be honest, Brianna is the one in the fucking beanbag chair with Doritos.
Eating
What the hell's
Cheetos,
going
yeah.
on there? Same difference. What the hell's going on there? Like, I don't think it would have, like, completely got to the point where, like, all of colony cuisine is now completely and irreparably altered,
Oh no, not at all.
but at the same time, um, there's is
Oh no,
maybe
Evan, it's absolutely caked in Cheeto dust, dude.
yes. Like, it's like when you give your little brother the controller when they're just
You're
eating
like, what the
Cheetos,
fuck
like,
is
"Yeah,
all this?
what the fuck did you do?"
Yeah.
Like, you might press, like, the A button and, like, Cheeto dust just, like, out of it.
Oofs out, yeah. Um,
God.
so
It's that
n
controller is running on pure spite now.
yeah. So the answer is absolutely not, I would say, because every import is a acquisitions mission, right? Even if it's for
Mm,
a single bag of Cheetos, that's got to go through a bunch of approvals, right? And like, I'm sorry to say, visitant who wants some Cheetos, like you're gonna have to wait like a week, one, because like the thing with acquisition stuff is like they do have to steal it. Like they can't
yeah.
just go up and purchase something.
"May
Um,
I have a pizza,
can I
sir?"
have a
Right.
pizza? What the fuck are you? Like they do have to steal it. So like it's not a matter of, actually that might be an interesting thing to talk about, like acquisition procedures.
Mm.
Thinking about Nimbats who live out in the field, just like relaying stuff back to acquisition, being like, these fucking idiots keep leaving their Cheetos out. Fucking come take them. Um, like so, we'll put that on the back burner. That's an idea. Uh,
Yeah.
so actually frequency
What?
spy thriller, like heist movie thriller
Oh my
story,
god.
but it's literally
No.
just for a bag of Cheetos.
Oh my fucking god.
I
Like,
want you to write that like legit.
what what you are basically describing to me is fucking over the hedge.
More or less, yeah.
Oh my god.
So,
With Brianna as the head of operations.
that's so funny. So
She'll make
basic
bombs as, like, an emergency getaway.
mhm. So,
Jesus
yeah,
Christ.
no, that's a great idea. Thank you. Thank you. You. Sam Ballard. Um, anyway, so, uh, like it's not like an easy thing to get that. It is much easier to get like seeds and other stuff that they can just grow back at the colony, but getting like um getting like a lot of other stuff is like a lot of processed foods, let me say, is very difficult. Um
Yes.
but
Is this ham
it's still
processed?
it's still very much possible. It's just a matter of like, okay, so like now we got to do all this fucking paperwork and now we got to do all this whole thing, and we also have to put like our acquisition agents in kind of the line of danger. And you're telling me you want a bag of Cheetos, and Brianna will say like, "Yes, I want a bag of
Yeah.
Cheetos." Um, but
In
like,
fact, give me 2.
yeah, but like, you know, it would be much more realistic to get like raw ingredients. Like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm gonna fly over to the farm and pick up a head of cabbage, or like I'm gonna like go, part of the way that they get chickens, um, they probably do steal chickens, but also they probably steal like eggs that have been fertilized and whatnot. Um,
Yeah, like, yeah.
yeah. So, yeah. So I think like it would be kind of what's it called? Like getting stuff that like, if you were to try to shoplift it, they would also probably have a harder time getting it.
Mhm, mhm.
Because they don't have money, they can't pay. Although I mean, they can steal stuff to pay, but they don't have money, can't
No.
pay.
But this
Um,
is a kind of like an interesting kind of bit because it's got like they have no intentions of setting up a factory where they can make
no.
Cheetos or anything like that. So stealing is more or less their option
Mhm.
outside of like making some kind of arrangement deal with any sort of like person out there, which would be very funny. To like imagine you have like a fucking Cheeto dealer. Yeah, I got the big stuff.
It's
I
just
got
like
the spice
A Nimbat goes up to their friend on the outside. He's just like, "Hey, got this stuff," and they'll go,
Oh
"I mean,
yeah.
yeah, I have. You asked for a bag of Cheetos, like, yeah,
Yeah.
okay,
Just
I'll
pass
take
it
them."
over, just, like,
And
get
like
real
the
close to
Nimbat's
me,
being all secretive about it, but
pass
like the
it over
person's
from
just like,
behind, nobody notices.
You're just asking for these. Okay, sure. Like, I buy bird seed. You know that? Like, the, uh,
My god.
but yeah, no. So I think it's yeah. I wouldn't say visitants coming in has really even changed like how they do food all that much at all. You know,
Mhm.
I think they really are just like, yeah, I mean, there's just new options now. So instead of being like limited to, you know, the stuff that would grow there naturally, they're able to grab stuff from all around the world, um, and grow it there. So like they probably grow it if you can think of it growing in a temperate environment. So like, they have a bunch of new fruits and they probably, I don't know if they would necessarily do like lettuce, but they would probably do like other stuff. I see that's the thing though. Like Nimbats are probably not like I'm just thinking about it because like lettuce is such a nothing food. Sorry, people who like lettuce. It's nothing. Like there's like nothing there, and I don't think Nimbats would really be
Unless you
like,
have the gene.
huh,
Unless you have the gene.
lettuce?
You can, like so lettuce is nothing unless you have that gene where vegetables taste sour to you.
Oh, I might have that gene then. Oh
As do
wow,
I.
Macau, you're like 5 minutes late to me calling you stinky, so I win.
No, there's a way
Anyway.
you can test it, Fen. Like, all you have to do is take, like, a piece of paper, put your tongue on it. If you can taste anything, you have the gene.
Oh,
Yeah, there are people who just cannot taste anything on paper. They don't have that gene. And so vegetables either have like a very
hmm.
mild flavor or it's like the case of lettuce where it tastes like literally nothing at all.
That was a napkin, and I might have used that.
Not no napkin, like parchment paper. Like
Parchment paper?
tear something out of like your fucking notebook and put your tongue on
Oh,
it.
like a printer.
Yeah, like printing paper, something like that.
It doesn't want to come through my mic, but I have printer paper here.
Yeah, just put your lick the paper without cutting yourself. And if you could taste something,
Nope,
you
I
have a
can't
gene.
taste anything.
Okay. Maybe you're a bit weird.
A little? Are you kidding me? Um.
Uh, but okay, like so,
So
but
anyway,
even going, yeah,
so my point of saying that is that like I don't know if Nimbats would really eat something that like they can't taste. You know?
no,
So
like
like
it's got to
because
the
like they
point
like
where,
fruit, they like sweet things. They're big on flavor. So like
yeah,
I don't think they would just eat lettuce.
I mean, they
um,
would still, they add lettuce to things just for this,
okay.
like almost the same reason that we do it for texture.
Well, no,
You
it's
want,
because people who eat lettuce want to feel that they're being healthy by just drinking extra water. Like that's all it is.
I promise you, it's not necessarily that.
No,
Like,
I know. I'm just
you
saying.
just add to your burrito because it adds a little bit of crunch and crunch
Well, yeah,
good.
I mean, like the texture, sure, but like, why do that when you can add like I don't know something else or whatever? Because like we have lettuce, right? They've got bugs for crunch.
True.
So like they would probably like if they had a burrito. They probably would just say,
Oh,
"Fuck
what
the
the
lettuce. I'm
fuck?
gonna put some crickets in this bitch."
No, I hate that.
Well, you as a person are not a Nimbat. Nimbats would probably love that shit.
I'm gonna judge them.
Sure.
I'm gonna judge me.
That's why visitants don't are not insectivores and why they eat a lot of egg, probably.
This is why we need to throw Nimbats. Can
Point
you
is,
fucking imagine, like, one being
mm,
thrown for the first time? It'd be, like, the same reaction as, like, one of those fucking
what the
sugar
fuck is
glider's.
this? Yeah.
They'd be standing there for a bit, and it's like, "Holy shit, what was that?" And then they just jump right on over, like, "Do it again! Do it again!"
Yeah. 100%.
Absolutely.
Um, just like, what the fuck was that? I
Did
threw
you
you. Do it again. Okay.
kind of like this?
Yeah. So, like, ultimately, like, I traditional Nimbat cuisine is pretty restrictive in terms of like what they were actually able to do. Modern, in air quotes, Nimbat cuisine is a lot more like worldly, but like it is still following the basics of like not much meat, and if so, it's like fish and other seafood. Which is unfortunate for me as a person because it will kill me. But um, fruits are big. Vegetables, if they are like big in flavor, so like radishes, probably fuck with radishes.
Mhm.
Um, and other like bulbous things. Onions, probably they would like. Actually, I'm not sure about onions. I don't know if they would really like onions.
Alright, before I
I don't
leave,
know.
I want to deliver, like, the big, um, speculative question.
Sure.
Um, where do you think cuisine would develop? Like, how do you think it would develop later on? Do you think they would kind of more or less stick to their roots and they would manage to, like,
Yeah.
just kind of keep what they've got going on and maybe incorporate a couple of things from outside societies? Like, maybe they'd get better at making pizza or
Mhm.
something to that extent? Or do you think it would get totally fried by the corruption of progression?
No, I think Nimbats are nothing if not traditional. You know, like
I can see that. They're old.
yeah, so like I think what would be more likely is that they have their bases and they take the new and incorporate it into the old. I don't think it would be completely like supplanted by it,
No.
you know?
Mhm. Yeah,
That's
no,
where
that
I
was
think it
that was
stands of
mostly just,
like
like, a fair question for just silliness
yeah.
because it's also just, like, an incredibly funny outcome where it's just Brianna fucks over everything culturally, and we can never go back.
I think for her stuff, like she'll have her agents go out and do it, but like she's not just gonna send them out there for no reason for any friggin' rando. Um, but like I think m- most notably it comes through in just how they prepare meals and whatnot. Like they are probably not like big spicy eaters, but they're big like sweet eaters. They like a lot of flavors, so they will probably be like all umami and like that. Um,
Well, on that front, I do have to get going.
okay, that's fine. I'll hold. We have 10 minutes left. We'll do some. I'll
Okay.
call
I
you a
have to
bean
do
goose later.
what the fuck? Goodbye, friends. Thank you
Bye,
for
bye,
it.
frequency. Okay, I'm gonna take the microphones off the table, and now it's just you and me chat. Hello. It's kind of lonely up here right now, actually. That's kind of weird. Anyway, hi. So, we're gonna uh do a little bit of Q&A. Feel free to ask anything about either stuff that we did or that we talked about today, or like stuff in general. Doesn't really even necessarily be. Okay, don't ask that question. The answer is I'm not. Uh, you are the stink, and I am the not stink. See how easy it is, Macau? To just deflect is easy. um, but yeah. How dare? Because I can, and you can't touch me. uh, Yeah, but yeah, any questions about whatever it is, and if there are none, I will end the stream. uh, you teleported, bro. See, we don't have that problem. As raised in the classic Team Fortress 2 movie expiration date, uh, we have temporal displacement. It's just different, not teleporters. We just open portals. It's great. It's like if you threw bread through a portal, you know? A little bit different, but significantly different enough so it's not like they won't grow tumors. As a side note, I've watched that movie so many fucking times. It is like foundational in my in my want to do media in general, actually. Fun fact. Um it's- in fun fact. Oh um the Meet the Team series and Expiration Date and a lot of like older TF2 SFM videos are like a big reason why I wanted to do media in the first place. Um, which is like interesting, I think. Um, because now look at me. I am a nimbat on the internet. Anyway, all right. If there are no questions, if someone's typing something, put a little thing in chat. But if not, then I will call it and I will say, thank you guys for joining. I'm actually just going to do the outro right now anyway. So thank you guys for joining. If you're new here and you're not in chat, that's cool. I'm not upset about it. But also, you should drop us a follow up above or follow us on Blue Sky at the Nimbat Colony or nimbatcolony.info on Blue Sky. You can check out some highlights on YouTube or TikTok now because I set that up earlier today. Um, but yeah, so we have that. If you really like what we do, you can head on over to patreon.com/the Nimbat Colony. Costs us $1 or so. You get your name on our website and also get some access to some stuff. Um, I'll send you a sticker every month if you subscribe to like the $10 higher tier. Um, yeah. And in any case, thank you all for joining. It is really weird to just be up here alone, but that's okay. Um, yeah. See you, everybody.